So, welcome back to my video presentation. The story that I can choose is the story of an hour by Kate Chopin. So, first I will discuss the character, second is the summary, and the last is the analysis of the story. Kate Chopin was an American author of short stories and novels. Some of her most acclaimed short stories are The Storm in 1898, The Story of an Hour 1894, and The Cerebral Baby on 1893. The collection of her stories was published by the title Bio-Folk. Kate Chopin was born on February 8, 1850, and she died on August 22, 1904. Kate Chopin lost her father at the age of 5, and she was raised by her mother and grandmother. She was influenced by the nuns of her school. As she grows, among strong women leading an independent life without the help of any male partner, individual liberty among women became a prominent theme of her writing. Though Kate Chopin denied being a feminist or what we call suffragist, she rather proclaimed the idea of individual liberty and suggested that it was only a chance that the protagonists happened to be strong female characters. Chopin herself was an individual spirit. Kate married Oscar Chopin in 1870. Oscar died unexpectedly in 1882. Kate mourned her husband's death deeply, but she recovered soon as she had to take care of her kids. She was an unusual lady who used to smoke cigarettes, discuss politics, and take part in social activities. After her husband's death, she also got romantically involved with a married man but didn't carry the affair for long. Her sense of individual liberty, the meaning of marriage, and female sexuality is expressed in her short stories and novels. The Story of an Hour. Kate Chopin wrote The Story of an Hour on April 19, 1894. It was published in the Vogue magazine on December 6, 1894, with the title The Dream of an Hour. Later on, Kate changed the title of The Story of an Hour, and it was republished in the magazine St. Louis Life on January 5, 1895. So now I will discuss the characters in that story. And by the way, this is a short story. And hence, the list of the characters is also very short. Louise Maillard is a middle-aged married woman with a weak heart problem. Her husband is Bentley Maillard. The couple is leading a calm yet mundane life. They admire each other and are loyal to each other. Both husband and wife take good care of each other. Despite this, Louise feels that she is being oppressed by her marriage. Josephine is Louise's younger sister. She knows about her sickness and when she learns about Bentley's death in accident, she tries to inform Louise carefully to avoid any shock to her. Richards is Bentley Maillard's friend. He learns about the death of Bentley in a newspaper. He visits Bentley's house and Josephine informs Louise about Bentley's death in Richard's presence. So now I will tell you the summary of the story of an hour. As the title suggests, this story tells about the happenings that occurred within an hour. Louise Maillard is suffering from heart ailments. Her husband Bentley Maillard has gone out. Her sister Josephine learns that Bentley died in a rail accident. She is sad and nervous as she fears that the news may break Louis' heart, who is already sick, and may kill her too. Richard is a close friend of Bentley. He learned about Bentley's death in a newspaper as he checked the list of casualties in the railroad disaster. He visits Bentley's house and Josephine decides to inform Louis about her husband's demise in presence of Richard's. Josephine tells her about Bentley's death calmly and carefully. Louis is shocked and sad as she starts sobbing when Josephine tells her about Bentley's death and goes upstairs to be alone in her room. Louise sits down in her room near an open window and sees the flying birds, bright sun, green trees, and smell of an approaching rain. All this soothes her heart. She hears the yelling of a street peddler selling his goods. She observes that someone is singing a song nearby, and she also hears the chirping sparrows. She sees the fluffy white clouds floating in the sky. She is still crying for the loss of her husband, whom she dearly loved. But she remembers how both of them were feeling oppressed by the marriage, though they love each other. She remembers how a couple of days ago she exclaimed what a long life she has to live with Bentley, expressing her depression and wishing to die soon. She is still sobbing, but she realized that she is now free of marriage. She is a middle-aged woman with lines around her eyes, yet she feels young and invigorated. She tries to suppress her feelings, but the word free resounds in her heart. She starts preparing herself for the life ahead without her husband. Though she is still sobbing, she starts feeling a strange warmth in herself. Body and soul free, she repeats to herself. Josephine knocks at the door of her room and tells her that she should not to be alone or she will get sick. Lois tells her not to disturb and go away. She thinks about the years ahead without the presence of her husband. She will be living an independent life without any oppression or objection from her husband. She starts feeling ecstatic in her newfound sense of freedom. She hopes that she lives a long life now as she is independent. Louise composes herself and opens the door where the Josephine is still waiting for her. Both sisters come downstairs with Richard still present. Suddenly, the front door opens and Bentley enters the house. He was not on the train when the railroad disaster occurred. In fact, Bentley has no knowledge of any such accident as he missed the train. When Josephine sees him, she screams of shock and happiness. Richard tries to block Louise from seeing Bentley as he fears this sudden shock may break her, but he fails. Louise sees Bentley and stumbles on stairs and falls. The doctor arrives at their home and pronounces Louis' death and declares that Louis died of a heart attack brought on by happiness. The story ends with a paradoxical irony. The doctor declares that Louis died of a heart attack brought on by happiness at seeing Bentley alive. However, she didn't feel any heart problems when she heard of Bentley dead. She actually felt strong, healthy, and willing to lead and enjoy the nectar of independent life. Her joy of being free is lost when she sees Bentley alive, and her heart problem reoccurs and with such strength that she dies of heart attack. It was not happiness, but the sorrow of losing the independence again that killed her. So, the themes of the story of an hour tells about the forbidden joy of independence that can be felt only in private. When Louise hears about her husband's death, she cries and mourns and acts appropriately in natural manner. However, when she is alone, she realizes that the newfound freedom in her life as she will no longer be oppressed by her husband. When Josephine tells her that she should not to be alone as it will make her sick, Louise tells her to go away as she wants to enjoy her newfound freedom alone. The story also indicates the inherently oppressive nature of marriage. True Louise and Brentley are the loving couple with no altercation or disagreement between them. Yet Louise feels oppressive though she is accept that Brentley is a loving husband. Kate Chapin suggests that marriages are oppressive by nature no matter how kind and loving that couple are. When Louise learns of her husband's death, she cries but when alone. She feels happy as she will living an independent life now. She knows that she will again weep at her husband's funeral, who was a loving husband. Yet she feels freedom from the oppression of marriage. She fails to recall how Brantley oppressed her, but she feels no wrong or malice in her newly found happiness in freedom. So again, thank you for watching and listening of my chosen story.